I haven't been anywhere. And you know when you go back to somewhere, it's never as good, I don't think.
Case by case.
Because I had that 4 years off,
Yeah.
I went travelling with the kids to Thailand in 2019. 4 years later, when you go again, they've got no interest in it. So I need to find places to tick off my list because I think I'm going to be travelling alone now because the kids don't want to go travelling with me. They want to stay with their friends, and she wouldn't want to go away with me by herself.
Isn't that perfect?
Well, I thought that, but I thought if you start taking separate holidays, isn't that your marriage over?
No, fuck no. I don't know why. Fuck, mate.
Am I in Western mode here?
I don't know, mate. Maybe you're too obsessed with your family, mate. Having kids too late in life, mate. That's what it is, I reckon.
Do you think?
Yeah, definitely, mate. There is a big difference between having kids in your late 20s and early 30s between 40s because when you have kids that age, you're kind of stuck and you're out booze and having a great time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm jealous of these guys. And now when I want to go boozing, I just can't be bothered because I'm too old and no one wants to go out and everyone's doing 100-day challenges.
But you can fuck off anytime, can't you?
Not really, because now I have a full-time job and my wife's kind of like, where are you going to go? I was like, I might go to the Philippines. No, you're not.
Yeah.
It's not that too. It's just because I'm on the Bruce special. I'm on the Qantas gravy train. So he's got to book my flights and I get stuck sometimes. So I'm pretty limited. Yeah.
So since COVID's gone, how much have you done?
Internationally?
Yeah.
Last year I went to the Philippines for a week and then I went to New Zealand, Australia recently. That's it. I hadn't been abroad.
Now I've got the guilt thing going on because I've got to go home and see my dad every year.
Oh, I don't care about that.
Now you went to New Zealand last month?
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw your mother before that?
7 years.
And that's all right? That's it.
That's what bloody Facebook Messenger is for, whatever it is. And I don't even turn the camera on because I don't want to look at it. Wow. Irritates me. Yeah. We irritate each other.
Yeah. So you're not. See, this is what I can't. I've got the guilt trips going on. So you didn't see her for 7 years.
Before that.
And how long did you see her for when you went back?
Good question. So I went up there, and I arrived in Auckland, or flew to Sydney, Auckland, and I had a night in Auckland. So I spent 2 days, 2 days traveling overnight from Sydney, and I took the bus up, and I went there. And I said I was going to stay for 5 nights. Then the kids came up and they left. And then I was just like...
So the kids didn't want to hang about?
Well, my son hadn't been there. He'd only ever seen my mother like twice in his life. And he went up there and he only came for 2 nights because he started uni. And he didn't want to go back because when he left, my mother she gets angry.
Yeah.
Spending too much fucking time in the shower. He said,
that's what she would...
we have to pay for water up here.
Ah.
And I think he said, I was unking, rushing me. And she was getting angry. And then when he left, because he's not used to the cuss, he didn't say thank you. And her dementia husband said, he didn't say thank you. I'm very disappointed. I said, he bowed. She said, I'm going to send him a text about New Zealand culture. And I went, because people won't like him if he doesn't say thank you.
Is this the stepdad?
This is my mother.
Your mother?
Yeah, she's like that, yeah. So I stayed. I went up there to Pahia, beautiful place, beautiful area.
Where is it?
You've been there before. I hadn't been.
Kirikiri.
Yeah, near Kirikiri.
Kirikiri.
I didn't go there.
Whangarei.
Yeah, about an hour going north onto the coast.
So
I went there. What did I do?
I spent a new year up there.
I've never been. I think you told me for your mate, yeah?
The
homeless one, yeah?
Yeah, my friend from school were up there.
Yeah.
He said when we were in Australia, come spend the Christmas and New Year with us.
Yeah.
Went there. He said he was smoking ketamine, but I don't think he smoked ketamine in a crack pipe. He said, sleep in my bed, I pulled the bed back, it's full of fucking skid marks.
Oh,
So we're in this fucking house full of meth heads,
and
they didn't want us there. So they'd be in the living room, I'd go into the living room, and everybody'd leave the living room and go out onto the balcony. So I'd watch telly for 5 minutes, go out on the balcony, and everybody'd go back into... It was fucking ridiculous. So then I had to leave. He said, "We'll go for Christmas dinner." This was Christmas Eve. He said, "We'll go for Christmas dinner. Where we're going? I will just turn up at somebody's house." Is that normal? Could I, if you had two friends coming to visit, could you just turn up at somebody's house on Christmas Day and say, "Feed us"?
No.
No. And he was saying, it's all right. It's the Kiwi way. And I said,
Kiwi people are totally unfriendly to foreigners, I heard.
Well, what we did was he went to work on Christmas Eve. His roommate, I still remember her name, Becky Wheeler, her name was. She were her dad were funding everything. Her dad were a millionaire from the UK. She had horses. She was one of these rich kids. So she let all these waifs and strays live there for free. She just came at us Christmas Eve day. "You're making everybody uncomfortable. Fuck off." So we went and hired a car and fucked off. I've never seen him since. Jesus. And that was the Bay of Islands for me. Went down to Whangarei Falls. Christmas Day, somebody's drinking on top at waterfall, pissed up. One of them threw a can off, and the fella said, "I'll get that before it lands." Jumps off the falls. It's the water. There's just a submerged log under water, kills himself.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's my.
Yeah, so you saw me there. So I went up there, and they live 3 kilometers from Pahia. They live up on a slight hill. So I went there, had dinner, blah, blah, blah. The next day I got up, and because the husband's got dementia.
Yeah.
So but he thinks he's right, but he just sits in the chair all day, and he puts golf on. And he puts the news on, and he's got a Alexa Google thing, Gluga, turn the radio on, and he just sits there. He might walk out to the balcony. So walked into the town, had a swim, came back, and they got a friend called Ken who's an English immigrant. He's been there since 1972, and he's a nice old bloke, and he's a vegan.
Yeah.
Because my mother said he's too mean to buy meat, because he came up and ate the cakes, and they got a dog, and they're really nice property. He's got banana trees, all these tropical vegetation, beautiful place. But they sold it because they're moving. So I would just get up and I'd walk down to one of the beaches, walk around. Okay, it's all right. Bit bored, nothing to do.
Yeah.
Walk back. It's probably 9 o'clock, and sort of sit around and watch the news and sit on one of the balconies.
So what are your mum and your stepdad doing all day? Fuck all.
Yeah. Well, basically, she was trying to pack. Because they're moving.
Right.
And he can't do anything. So, and then the kids came, and my mother said, "I'll take you to all these places." Never did.
Yeah.
Went to Russell for the day, or for a couple of hours.
Let me write down where this is, because then I'll put a link in. But so Russell's the name of the town.
That's across from the bay. That's the oldest town.
Where does your mum and stepdad live?
Paya. P-A-I.
I think
H-A.
I think I've been there.
Yeah, but they don't live there anymore. Yeah, they moved.
So they've moved from Paya to Russell.
No, sorry. They moved back to where they used to live, Papamoa, which is the Bay of Plenty.
The Bay of Plenty and the Bay of Islands.
So down further south from Auckland. Yeah. Tauranga.
Yeah. I know that. Right.
That's where they've moved to now.
Is it worse or better than the place they're in?
They think, well, they like it there because there's a lot more. There's hospitals, care centres.
How old are they?
My mother's 71 and Robert's 78.
71 now is nothing really, is it?
Yeah. Well, she's all right, yes. But
he's going to tits.
Yeah, so it's got an interesting story. So basically, they didn't have enough money for the house, so I chipped in a little bit of money. And his son had come over from Norway 6 weeks before. He came for 5 days with his Norwegian friend, and the whole idea was to make sure that he got some money in the will. So he sat down, he goes, "I want to see your will," because my mother told me. She goes, "Well, I'm not going to show you the will." He goes, "I want to see the will because my father has been looking after you for like 15 years and he's been supporting you, and I don't think that's fair, and I don't think you should get 50% of everything when he dies, and you'll have to move when he dies because you won't be able to live in a big house." So he sent all these nasty emails. My mum read them out to me, and then Robert said, "All right, can you give me $10,000? We need a little bit of money for the house. Pauline's son's given us $10,000." And he went, "No."
Really?
And he goes, so right back, he goes, "All right, well, if you're not going to give me 10 grand, how about can you give me all the money back that I was giving you over the years?" Yeah, so hopefully when Robert dies, This Norwegian cunt won't get anything.
So he only came over for 5 days just to get his
Well,
hands. Because that's a long fucking way, isn't it?
I think he was in New Zealand for a week. Yeah. And he came with the
He's-
Norwegian guy as a bit of moral support.
Yeah.
My mother said he was an arsehole, but
Well, it just brought him for a bit of backup.
yeah, that's what he did. Yeah,
That's all it is. You see, these fucking when people start getting towards the end, and the people's real fucking colours come out. My mother's sisters nearly had a full rolling around on the living room floor about a fridge freezer. About a fucking fridge freezer. Yeah. So New Zealand. Well, we're not even talking about New Zealand, are we? You're going to talk about the same country that I have my favourite place in, but a completely different region.
Yeah.
Which is
Timor. Kupang, Indonesia.
But there's two sides to Timor.
East Timor and West Timor.
East Timor and West Timor. Now, I know the difference, but the people that listen don't. What is East Timor? And
East Timor is now its own country. It has been since 1999. It had a referendum. So originally, East Timor was a Portuguese colony.
Yep.
In 1976, the Portuguese had a military coup, I think.
Yep.
And they gave up all their colonies. So the Indonesians got the okay from the Americans to go and invade East Timor and incorporate it into Indonesia.
Right.
So there was an organization called Fretland, which is like a rebel organization that fought in East Timor for many generations. So what happened? Timor's an island like this. The west side has always been colonized by the Dutch. They're Protestants. This side is Catholic. So they're quite separate people.
It's like fucking Northern Ireland with palm trees, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But they don't have a lot to do with each other, but they speak the same language, Tentem. So what happened? In 1999, there was a referendum. The Indonesians were forced out, but they sent these militia, just Indonesian soldiers, and they burned the whole place to the ground. So Australia, New Zealand, the States, and the UK, and the Portuguese came in and had a guerrilla war with them for a couple of years.
So that was 1999?
Yeah.
I thought it were earlier than that.
No, 1999. I was here. I was a member. I was here, and I had friends who went over.
Because I thought it were earlier.
Yeah.
I remember it was the first time I'd seen on British television somebody just getting shot in the street. I remember this black fella running out of a side street, and he were running towards these fellas with guns, and the cameraman must have been behind, and they just went boom, fucking dead in the street. And I thought, I can't believe they're showing that on TV. I can't believe they're showing that on TV. So if I'll put some up on the YouTube, and I'll put some up.
Yeah.
So East Timor is just a long island from east to west.
I mean, Timor. No, it's I'll draw you.
I'll put a map up.
Okay,
so they see, because I can't show this to camera like this.
So I've never actually been to East Timor, so I'd like to. It's on my bucket
list.
list.
Is it not dangerous like Papua New Guinea?
No. So Papua New Guinea's a little bit different. Yeah, it is a little bit dangerous, I think, and it's expensive because they use the dollar, American dollar.
Papua New Guinea or East Timor?
East Timor.
East Timor, right?
Or Timor-Leste, as they call it.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a bit of a backstory.
Yeah.
So 1989, I was in Darwin. I was 18, and I just always wanted to go to Indonesia. I had this hard-on for Indonesia since I've been at World Expo in '88. And I remember I got my ticket. It was on Mapati Airlines.
Mapati?
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
Indonesian, obviously.
And they had a flight on Sunday and Wednesdays to Kupang, and it was an hour and 20 minutes.
That's probably Bradford to Benidorm.
Yeah,
probably quicker.
Much quicker.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a proper jet plane. So what I did, I remember it vaguely. The night before, I went and watched Indiana Jones and the Lost Crusade, and I got all inspired, and I was like, I'm off for an adventure. Hitchhiked out to the airport, the outbreak was, slept in the airport, woke up, and I think the flight was like 10 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yeah. And I remember flying there, and I was so excited, and I arrived in Indonesia, and the rush I had, my first time in Southeast Asia, 18 years old.
First time out of the country?
Oh, no, Australia, New Zealand, obviously, yeah. But to a proper country, yeah. And I stayed in Kupang, and I stayed in a Losman, which is a cheap accommodation, and I stayed there for 3 nighs. to get a custom, bought a dictionary,
Yeah.
no internet in those days. Made some friends, and then I travelled. I went island hopping. I basically took ferries across to Bali for 2
Right.
months. Yeah.
See, I know Indonesia. I've been 3 times, I think. Been 3 times, but you're talking
East
about
side.
Timor. You're over the east,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah.
Right. Okay. So, 18 years old.
Yeah.
By yourself.
By myself.
Why
yeah.
did nobody want to go with you?
Well, parents are in New Zealand. I just thought, I didn't even tell them I was going. Actually, I don't think I told them until I got there.
But what were you doing all the way up in Darwin?
Oh, I was up in Cairns. I was working. Yeah.
Cairns.
Yeah, I was in Cairns, and I hitchhiked to Darwin, and then I was just kind of started the backpacking thing. And
So going back to Cairns to Darwin, how far is that? That's not fucking a short jump, is it?
Cairns, go across down to Townsville,
Yeah.
Cloncurry. Go to Cloncurry on the border, Mount Isa, Cloncurry. Freeways, which is the road connecting the road going.
Yeah.
You probably know.
Yeah.
The freeways, and then straight up to Darwin.
And how long did that take you to hitchhike there?
3 days.
So you didn't have any money to get to Darwin Airport, but you knew you'd need 3 days.
Oh no! I went to Darwin to get a job.
Right. Okay.
And I worked in Darwin for a couple of months.
Right. I got you.
On a fruit farm, a Dutch guy. Yeah, it was like picking fruit and stuff, and he didn't pay.
So you just saved up enough to get you to here.
Just enough. I had enough. I took to Indonesia. I took 600 Australian dollars, and I had $300 left in the bank on Australia. So when I came back from Indonesia, I had no place to live and had $300. So,
right.
Yeah. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
So.
But now what's going to happen to you when you're 18?
No, because you think you'll be fine. Yeah. So it's in Timor, and then I took a night ferry from Timor to a place called Laratuca in Flores. And Flores is the biggest one. It was just a backwards island. There was no paved roads. It was just jungle. No travellers.
So no Portuguese influence.
No,
it's
the
called
name
Flores.
was Flores, but it was a Dutch island, and it was still a Catholic island.
Yeah.
There's quite a few Muslims still. And I remember I went to a town called Ende, and someone said you should go to this like indigenous village. They've never seen foreigners before.
Yeah.
They'd seen them a few weeks before. So I went there, and everyone's called me Jesus and asking me for a pen. And at the time in Indonesia, if you're a white person, you were called Boris Becker, and if you're black, you were called Ruud Hullet.
Really?
Yeah, because because they're the only 2 foreigners they knew. Yeah. Boris Becker, Jesus, Ruud Hullet.
Wow. So going there, 18-year-old, not shitting yourself.
No, shit myself when I got dysentery, basically.
So how many days in were it that you got sick? Because that always, when I first went to Asia, Bangkok, that was the thing that always scared me. But the person that I went with, she got sick anyway, so I wasn't that bothered.
I'd probably a week in. I went to Laratuca, and I remember I had what was it? Satay babi, goat.
Street vendor.
Yeah, of course. I just had off the street, never any money. I was eating all the orangs, and I had a budget of $10 a day, Australian. That was my budget: accommodation, travel, and food.
Yeah.
And we went to a place called Marmari and stayed, and that's where I got sick. And I was backpacking, so I would share a room with someone, a Lossman, with a squat toilet and a bucket shower.
Yeah.
It was $2 a head, Yeah, just old school,
So, $10 a day, $2
Australian,
$2 on your accommodation.
Yeah.
Food and booze.
Didn't drink. $1 lunch was nasi goreng was about $1. Water was about 10 cents. Maybe I'd have a Coke sometimes, occasionally. And then maybe on a Friday night, I met a guy, and he was an Irish guy. And I said, "Oh, you having a beer?" He goes, "Well, it's Friday everywhere in the world, so I'm having a beer." And then I didn't have a drink till I got to a place called Low and Baju in the end of Flores, and I bought a cheap bottle of brandy with some people, and it was about $1.
Did you do this? This is what because I used to budget as well. You start off like fucking Jesus himself, where you've got to stick to that $10, $12 a day. But you're doing it so rigidly at the front end of your trip that at the back end of your trip, you've got all this fucking, it's Vegas time.
No, I didn't.
No? You didn't do that?
No, because I didn't have enough money for the 2 months. So I I might have done 7 weeks. So basically, I got to Bali, and then I budgeted $15 a night, and I bought a couple of ready T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I paid $4 a night for a Lossman.
Right.
And the funny thing is, the next year I went to Indonesia again, and I flew to Bali and I went to Lombok for 2 months, and I took a lot more money, and then I got on the piss and had a good time. But I still budgeted like $2 or $3 a day.
I know. I was traveling up to Mandalay in Burma, and I met a fella somewhere halfway up, a Tasmanian fella called Sam Dizote. His name was a fucking ginger with curly hair. And we were budgeting like fuck.
Yeah.
And we got to Mandalay. We had a fucking blowout because it was the water festival. And then we didn't spend as much money as we thought we'd spend. So we got on the train and we did the whole country first class. Now, first class on a Burmese train, it was just the taken seats out of aeroplanes. and you could swivel them. You could swivel them, but there were mice living in the seats. But the currency in Burma is called chat. So we were traveling down to Rangoon, and we said, right, we'll have a chat fest when we get down. And we had 1 day, fucking wild. But this is the banking of the money. But you didn't have enough money to do that.
No. Well, I remember. You ever heard of the Gili Islands in Indonesia?
No.
Famous backpacking place, Gili Trawangan. So I went there in 1989, and it was just basic. Now it's a 5-star resort, but there was no bar. There was kind of an unofficial bar. I don't think you'd even buy beer. You just drank a rack with the locals.
I remember in Sumatra, they had beer in the back, and it wasn't in fridge. So you're drinking warm beer, bintang.
Yeah, that's what it was. And you stayed in a place, and I remember you paid maybe $8 or $5 or $6 a day, and you got a bungalow, very basic bungalow, and you got 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And they give you, the start of the few days, you get really fresh fish, but then they keep on recycling everything. So then it'd be like a fish chowder. It was just, Indonesian food's pretty ordinary.
Did you get sick with that?
No, I didn't get sick after that, no. Because I'd been there so long, my stomach was kind of iron cast. And then, what do I do? Shag.
But there were no prostitution where I was when I were in
No. I got off of Scandies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that would have been second time.
First time was I got off this with a Scandinavian, and I remember because I went to her room, and there was a guy on Gili Trawangan, and they called him Black because his father was from Yemen, so he was really dark.
Yeah.
And he'd been looking through the little peepholes, and he told me, hey, and they used to call you Gigolo if you got one. Hey, Gigolo, how can I get that Danish woman? I said, he goes, I'm going to get her drunk on a rack, and then I'm going to do jiggy jig with her. I said, maybe she doesn't want to do jiggy jig with you. Yeah.
I wonder how many times that's happened, that goes unreported.
Oh, yeah, they're terrible.
Because the police aren't going to really listen to a Scandinavian, are they?
No.
Fuck.
And then the second year, I went back to the same island. It was a lot more developed.
Yeah.
Something similar happened. There was a Dutch woman, 2 Dutch women, and I was hanging out with this English guy. And these Indonesians had followed them from another island, and they said they were going to do jiggy jig with them.
Really?
And they told us, and I said, "Oh, we'll walk you back to your bungalow." And they pulled a knife at me and, "Hey, gigolo!" Yeah, I said, a compliment. He said, "Hey, gigolo, I'm going to stab you."
Wow.
Yeah, and it was pretty heavy. Yeah.
So when you went here the first time, and you went back a second time, how much did it change?
There was a place called the Reggae Bar.
Yeah.
There was more bungalows, and there was a restaurant, a couple of restaurants. Now, when I look on YouTube, it's 5-star resorts. Yeah. It's fucked.
It fucking ruins it.
Yeah.
I know. Did you ever go to Phi Island in
No,
Thailand?
I've never been down there, no.
I went there before the tsunami, after the tsunami, and then I went again in 2019.
Yeah.
There's a Burger King on the island.
Oh, yeah,
there's a fucking burger. I sailed in because she and kids have obviously never been there before. I sailed in. What the fuck's that? And it was a fucking Burger King.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, I were only there for a day. I thought, I'm not coming back here.
No.
And then when I took the photo, and the people who were there when the tsunami happened saw it, I said, what the fuck is going on? The fucking Burger King on PP Island.
Yeah.
So when you were here, the first time and the second time, better or worse?
Probably when I was back in night, better.
Even because you've got more money, or
And
because it's a better place?
It was just a better place because more to do, and like it was great because I'd play football at soccer every day.
Yeah.
And I'd play on the local side because they had a side and they wanted to play a match every day. So play soccer in the afternoon at 4:00.
Yeah.
And it was just I remember there was this one guy and he was a bit of a nuffy. He was from England.
Yeah.
And his nick we called him Mr. Lilo because he'd walk around the beach carrying this Lilo, and there was a current, and he'd get up there and he'd just float all day. And he'd float down, get his Lilo, come back up, and he'd drink beer.
That's all they do.
He was an English guy.
Yeah.
And he thought he was a real lady killer. He was about 37, 38.
Yeah.
I mean, older than my mother at the time. And he was like giving me advice about women. And everyone used to call him Mr. Lilo. And I was there for 3 weeks on that island. And he was there the whole time. And he just floated up.
And that's all they did.
And then we went to Bali together and he brought his Lilo with him.
So what were he just travelling?
He was just travelling. He'd been in Australia and he's just travelling. He's just travelling around Asia. And he was a bit of a... He had glasses, he had curly hair.
So... You see, this is the thing. When you've got no kids and you can do all this stuff, you don't do it.
No.
You don't do it. You just want to get pissed and laid.
Yeah.
You don't save your money. When you've got kids and you can't do it, that's all you want to fucking do.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
It's all you want to do. I sort of fell in that middle bit where I didn't do it when I did Europe in my 20s, but I didn't do Asia until I was 30.
Yeah.
And that was just spectacular.
Yeah.
And then I came back, got shut of the dead wood, and then you get single in Japan, and it's just the best place to be single.
Yeah.
It's the fucking greatest place to become single.
Yeah.
And then you have kids, and you think, right, I'll take the kids to these, and it's not the fucking same.
Yeah, with my kids, Asia, we'd been to Thailand twice, Vietnam once.
Would you take them here?
Indonesia, but they're adults now. They don't want to go with me. Yeah.
When did they stop wanting to go?
Oh, we didn't do it. Well, basically during COVID, that's when they sort of became like university, high school age. So my son was busy with soccer and he didn't want to hang out with his parents anyway. And I don't know, really wants to go. You know, he likes, I guess he likes traveling. My daughter likes to travel. She likes going places with me. So I took her to Boracay when she was 16, 17.
See, when I went away with the lad by ourselves, we went to northern Thailand. That was the greatest holiday I've ever had. But I don't think my daughter would want to do it with me.
No. I see my daughter, she wants to do holidays with me because I pay for it, she's a student.
Yeah.
But, you know, I took my daughter to Corona. I went to Okinawa. She came to Okinawa with me before she was like 19. I think she was 19 there. Just before she went to New Zealand. So we went to Okinawa for 5 days. And that was during Corona, so everything shut down. That's good. And we did Boracay September 2019. So she might have been, she's 17, I guess. 17?
I'm going to have a trip with my daughter. I've not done that yet.
Yeah.
I've not done that with her. When we went back to England to see my dad were just, he wasn't in the right frame of mind. You know? Yeah. My dad didn't want to do out. The kids didn't want to do out. There's only me that wants to do stuff. But nobody else wants to do stuff. But if you're saying, oh, it's all right, just go away on your own.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll just fucking do that.
Fucking hell, man. Like, I can't understand, like, when people travel, like our friend down the beach, when he travels, he shares a room with a person.
Yeah.
And why would you do that?
Yeah. I wouldn't.
No,
I just have I don't give a fuck how much I like you. I'm having my own room.
Yeah. So I can't understand that thing and getting hammered all the time.
Yeah.
So when I went to the Philippines last year, and I used to go twice a year, but I wouldn't get hammered every night. I'd get drunk. I'd go and drink one night, and that'd be the next day. I'd have off, and then
But what are you doing through the day and at night if you're not boozing and you're on your own?
Go to the pool and gym and walk around, go to the shopping malls because I'm in Manila. I'm in the city, and I knew people there, so I meet up with people and cruise around. I'd go outside the city if I could. And
what I love doing more than anything else is cycling it. Just flying somewhere with my bike and cycling it. And I wouldn't want to do that with anybody else apart from myself. because I don't want to be waiting for anybody.
No. The thing your last podcast, it was a good point. You said the most exciting part is getting there.
Yeah.
No, that's true. The same for me. You get all excited, especially after COVID. You're like, I was like so excited, nervous as well.
And then when you get there, it's a bit of a letdown.
And then you go, oh, yeah, no, okay.
Yeah.
When I went to the Philippines, it was exciting. When I went to New Zealand and Australia, I was like,
it's because this is my 2 cents. It's because you're going back to somewhere normal.
Yeah.
If I took you to Bradford, I mean, after all I've said about it and how much I fucking hate it, I think if you went,
I'd probably love it.
You'd go, fucking hell, it is shit, but Jesus, you could have some fun.
Yeah, because kind of imagine.
And you could take me somewhere here that's normal to you that you think's shite, and I'd be like, wow, this is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, but I never go back to New Zealand for years. I've only been a few times in 30 years.
Yeah.
In Australia, I hadn't been back for a long time too. But when I go to Australia, like I went to Melbourne, and it's so fucking expensive.
I've never been to Melbourne.
I hadn't been to Melbourne since I was a teenager. I was like,
yeah.
Jesus.
So in Melbourne, if for a hotel.
Oh, well, I stayed 2 nights. So I had to get accommodation. I stayed in this. I thought it was a hotel, but it was a dodgy Airbnb.
Right.
And it was just a room. I paid over, I think, $100 and had a bathroom. There was no soap and shampoo. And I stayed there. It was like an apartment had been kind of blocked off.
Yeah.
But it was advertised. I thought it was a hotel. I thought it was quite cheap for a hotel.
Yeah.
And then the second night, Brucey, my flight attendant friend, he had flown in from Narita, and he gets a hotel in Melbourne, so I shared a room with him.
Yeah.
That's free. Yeah.
But and especially with the yen at the moment being so fucking
in
the toilet, it's everything's expensive.
Yeah. Well, I went out. It was Easter Monday. We went to the Aussie Rules, and I bought a round for him and his friend and I. And there also was a surcharge, 15%, and it was $54.
What's that in real money?
£27.
Okay, for 3 drinks.
But they had craft beers. I had the cheapest one. Yeah, but still, it was just like
£27.
Yeah. But there was a surcharge because it was an Easter. It was a holiday. They put a surcharge on the bar. Then we went to another place, and it was about $12, about £6.
You see, the thing about being a non-drinker now is nobody gets you in on the rounds, so you just drink your own shit. So if I were to just drop £27 on 3 drinks, I would have to have a sit down for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I didn't drink after that. I didn't have much to drink. We went out. We went to the football, and that was great. Then we went out to a restaurant. And my friend, because he's single and lives with his mother, and he's
he's gay.
He's not gay.
He's a flight attendant. How old is he?
51.
51 is a flight attendant, and he lives with his mother. But he's not gay.
He's not gay. He's just his own character. He's a bit different. He doesn't look after himself. He likes to drink. So I was worried because he's got disposable income. He goes, we met someone I know in Tokyo who I introduced him. He goes, we're going to meet Greg and his daughters. I said, do we have to? He goes, yes. I went, okay. I went, all right. I said, where are we going? He goes, Greg wants to book a restaurant. Oh, it's probably going to be $100 a head. I said, Bruce? He goes, tell me where you'd like to eat, Jamie. And I said, cheap. I said, I'd really like to go to a good old school Australian Chinese restaurant. And be cheap. And his friend was a Malaysian Indian guy, really good guy.
Yeah.
He goes, I know the place in Chinatown. It's this old school. It's just old fucking 1970s chairs. Yeah. Had an amazing meal. No drinks. That was $50 a head between 7 of us. But we ate well, we ate good food.
You can go, this is another thing with Asia, you can go to an hotel restaurant, you can go and eat in a food court and it's rubbish. Yeah. Or you can eat off the street and have the best meal you've ever had on the whole trip.
Yeah.
I remember those fucking pate sandwiches in Vietnam.
Oh, they're awesome.
Fucking Jesus.
$1, yeah.
Yeah. The best food. So in East Timor and in Bali, because we would when I went to Bali last year,
that's right, maybe you went to Bali.
We just were using this. It's a Grab app. It's Indonesia's Uber Eats.
That's what I used in bit. Yeah.
And I can't really remember what the Balinese food were like because it's sort of blended. Because you've got so much influence from the other islands.
Yeah.
Is the food in East Timor different from Bali?
Okay, I mean West Timor. So
West Timor.
Balinese is different because Balinese is Hindu, so they can eat pork.
Yeah.
In Kupang, it was just standard Indonesian, pretty ordinary. It was just a lot of chili, cold rice, orang. So you go there and you pick the dish what you want. It doesn't taste. It's been sitting out all day. It's covered in flies.
Did they have it all in window?
Padang,
white
Padang.
bowls.
Yeah, that's what I ate all over Indonesia. Yeah,
that's what I were eating in Sumatra.
Yeah, that's what you ate. Yeah,
that is the first time I went into Indonesia, and it wasn't even on my trip because we did a backward 9 circle of. We did the elephants here and then the trunk. So you start in Bangkok, Cambodia, Vietnam, North Vietnam into Laos, back into Thailand, through Malaysia, and we had 2 weeks.
Take the ferry across.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks, and we only had Singapore to do before we went to Australia. I said, let's get over to Indonesia, and we went to Sumatra, and stayed in Lake Maningau for a week.
Yeah,
it's the most beautiful place I've ever been, and that's my high water mark, and I don't know what that's like now.
But the thing was, so I'll go forward. Like when I moved to Darwin, when I went to join the prison service, so I used to go back to Kupang quite regularly because it was the cheapest flight out of Darwin. So my party, you could fly to Bali for I think $500 from Darwin, and you could stop in Kupang. It flew Darwin, Kupang, and then went on to Bali. It was just a connecting flight. But I always just used to fly to Kupang because it was quite a bit cheaper. It was like same price. I think it was always like $280 return. And I just used to go there. I'd go there on a Sunday. No, I'd go there on a Wednesday. Then I'd get Saturday night. And I'd come back on a Sunday. And I went up there. Jesus, I went up sometimes like once every 6 weeks. And there wasn't nothing really to do there. And there's a bar. There's one bar on the waterfront called Teddy's Bar. And it'd been there since the 70s, I think. And he had a monkey on the bar. And he was quite clever. The monkey, you thought the monkey was cute, drink your beer. And then you don't want to drink because you have to buy another one. So the monkey was drunk, drinking everyone's beer. And people don't want to drink from a monkey. Buy another one. And to address it a little bit. So when I worked in the prison service, we used to have a lot of illegal Indonesian fishermen. Yeah. And they were from Kupang. And they used to bring illegal nets into Australia and fish, blah, blah. So I used to see them in the prison. And I'd go to Kupang. And I'd see the same guys on the pier. They're like, hello, boss.
And they'd be right with you.
Well, they're Indonesians. I was nice to them, yeah. And they're like, hello, boss. Oh, you're from Darwin jail.
Wow.
Yeah, so they love going to prison Darwin because they get a little bit of money,
Yeah.
Work,
Yeah. It'll be probably be a better lifestyle for being in prison in Australia than being there.
Yeah, because Kupang was very poor as well, yeah.
But where you were I remember you telling me, where you were in Darwin, women are a bit thin on the ground, aren't they?
Yeah, so people used to go up to Kupang. Not many people used to go up there in the end. They don't have the flight anymore. But when I go up there, it was the same people would be up there all the time. And they're kind of like semi-retired and they're kind of like semi-living there in Kupang. They'd come back and forth. And they had Indonesian girlfriends who were quite a bit younger than them. And they were kind of like just drunk in this place, Teddy's Bar. And I went, this is a bit of shit. I was going to be somewhere better. Yeah. So I made friends with some Indonesian guys, and there was a hotel called the Crystal Hotel. It was quite expensive, $40 a night. Yeah. I stayed there. But it had a bar and kind of a disco. And I used to go there and hang out with the Indonesians.
And it was better there?
Yeah, because it was all military. Because at the time when I was going, the last time I went there to Kupang was February 99. I came here in May. And what happened, that was before everything was taken off. And there was a lot of military in Kupang. And the tourists didn't go to Kupang. I was getting followed around by Kompasi, Special Forces. And I could hear them because I could understand a bit of Indonesia. I could hear them on the thing. I was at tall bullets coming again. Yeah. I could hear them like follow me around and just radios. Really? They were getting ready for the election.
So the military that were building up there, it was just Indonesian military?
Yeah. Because East Timor was still part of Indonesia. They had the elections a few weeks later, but they knew they were going to have it was going to go independent. So they sent a lot of troops to Kupang. They become a bit of a garrison town. And then I think July, August is when that Timor thing kicked off. Yeah. And I noticed the build-up in the military. Like I thought, man, there's a lot of military here. And I'd met a guy at Teddy's Bar, and he had a business. He was helping people from East Timor come into West Timor. He was charging them $600 to bring their furniture on a truck to get out. And because they knew everything was going to go to shit,
And they just flattened it, didn't they?
Burn it to the ground. Left nothing there.
Before we finish this podcast now, where you are in Timor, Is there any part of Timor where you can see with the naked eye Australia?
No,
Is it too far away?
Oh, it's too far. It's about 400, 500 kilometers.
Is it? I've got no. I'd have, if I looked at a map, obviously I'd see that it's that far away. So, is there any part of Indonesia that you could see from Australia?
Technically, you could, if you go to the Torres Strait side, to the Queensland side. So New Guinea's in half.
Yeah.
So half of New Guinea is Indonesian.
Yeah.
Papua, and then you got some islands in between Australia and Papua New Guinea, and there's slightly parts of Indonesia called the Torres Strait. And you could probably see Indonesia. You can see Papua New Guinea from there, and if you're further enough west, you could probably see.
Did the Japanese get down that far?
Yeah. That's why the Timorese, the Australians thanked the Timorese people because they
fought
against the Japanese. Yeah.
See, they're fuckers, aren't they? They got everywhere. They got fucking everywhere. The Japanese.
But no, Timor was, and unfortunately, I always wanted to go back there. And but apparently, a few years after I left, apparently a couple of guys from Darwin up there, they got murdered, and they just stopped the flight.
Really?
There's no more flights to Kupa.
Just for the money?
Oh, I don't think people are going up there, and it was just too risky. And now they've had, because East Timor was a separate country, and it's oil fields. They have 2 flights a day from Darwin, but no tourists go to East Timor.
But it's going to be, like you say, it's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, because you use the US dollar, and there's no infrastructure. Well, there is, but it's a poor country, and there's nothing to see there. Even West Timor, it's a bit of a weird place because the island itself looks a bit like Australia because it's in that kind of zone between Asia and Oceania. So you had kind of eucalyptus trees, and it was quite dry.
Yeah.
So it looked similar to Australia in some ways, and it has crocodiles too.
When I went to Bali, Kuta.
Good laugh back in the day.
It were just ruined by Australians. It was like Benidorm. That's like the Brits have done to Benidorm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got up to Ubud that I started enjoying it.
And now it was just full of wankers.
Yeah. But we got out of the city. We were in this. It was like there were a 6 bungalow with a pool, and we were miles from anywhere. Apart from this river and this waterfall that we could jump off. It was perfect.
For you, because there's no people.
Yeah, because I'm a miserable fucker. And it was great. But, yeah, I'm ready to go somewhere else now. But I might have to go on a lad's holiday, next holiday.
Well, you can watch everyone drink. Yeah, you should go to the Philippines. Like, I don't know why you don't want to go there. A lot of people are funny about it. Philippines is awesome. Food's terrible.
I mean, I love my wife and I love my marriage and all that sort of stuff. But if I'm in the Philippines by myself, well, if I'm not drinking, I'll be fine. I'm not going to be jumping all over any woman as long as I'm not pissed and making stupid decisions. And if I'm not doing that, but what's the point of going to the Philippines?
Beaches, adventure. There's some great islands. I've been to some pretty backwards places.
I could go island hopping, couldn't I?
That's what you do when you go there. Yeah.
But then again, because I'm aging out now, I mean, I don't give a fuck what other people think, but you people are just going to look at you and think you're a sex tourist, aren't they? But who gives a fuck?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Because you see sex pets.
Yeah,
and you can tell them, a mile off, and they're all pissheads and stuff.
I saw a few of them in Cebu, and they were like fucking 11 o'clock in the morning, pissed up.
Yeah.
There were a fella on the floor. He'd got a bottle of booze and he'd got some ice out of freeze. He'd scraped it out of freeze, ice cream, and it's because his beer had got warm and he's pouring it in and he's drinking it.
I've seen some horrible people.
His visa's probably run out. He's got no money. He can't get out of the country.
Yeah, I saw tons of those people. So I remember there's a bar I go to in Manila called the Handlebar, and I hadn't been there since the pandemic. And when I went there before the pandemic, they have a happy hour. It's quite cheap, and the yen was strong. And there was a guy there, and you could just tell he was the guy who goes for a free beer.
Yeah.
So he was super tanned. He was in black leather shoes, dress pants, a white shirt, but it was all scuffed in an iron. I thought, probably works in a call center, manages one.
Yeah.
Probably lives in a flop house, and he spends all his money on piss, or comes out and just lives off people buying them a beer.
Yeah.
And I was watching him, and I thought, everyone else was, fat and overweight, but had money. And I just looked at him, and he looked like, you're not that tanned unless you're sleeping rough. And he looked like he'd been rough, and his shirt was all unironed and scuffed up. It's like the only city clown. I thought, this guy is like one of those guys.
And a foreigner.
foreigner. It was all foreigners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Filipino guys don't go out to the bars. And I was
Fuck.
watching him for a year. He's one of those guys who is just on his.
But they're everywhere, man.
Yeah.
They're fucking everywhere.
Yeah. Even in Benidorm, I've been watching videos about them. Yeah.
Right. Before we finish, anything else about here?
Timor. The funny thing is, I've been in Japan 25 years and I've never been back to Indonesia. And my dream was, the year of the pandemic before it happened, was to recreate the same trip.
By yourself or with the family?
Well, not with the family. They're old. The kids are grown up. They don't want to come. I thought I'd have a bit of time off, and I said to my wife, "Would you like to go?" And she's like, "Not really." But I planned it. I was going to fly to Australia, fly to Darwin, or fly to Bali on Jetstar, and then go across island hopping and take a few flights, and go to Kupang just to say I've been there, and then fly back.
Well, now my family don't want to go on holiday anymore. I might fucking do that with you in a few years.
Yeah,
we'll do that
for
your 60th.
Well, yeah, I'll 60th.
It
won't be traveling at 60th.
You'll be 60th for me.
A few months before.
Right. I can't believe that I'm back in Koenji, which is my first hood, and it's your old hood.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have a wander about before I go back to the train station. Thank you very much.
Okay.